In this video, we're going to go over some of the basic functions of the X7 Phenom electronics. One thing I first want to point out is this gun, it operates not only electronically but also mechanically. Your first firing mode, and we'll kind of go ahead and flip the switch. This mode functions mechanically only. Okay, so there's no electronics used in this mode. Okay, to turn the electronics on, you simply flip it to the next mode, which is the FA, and you will notice that you get a green light that will come on in the bottom. Now I'll kind of go through and show you how to program some of the firing modes. There's also some more advanced settings too that we can get into a little later. But we're first going to kind of go through and show you how to change up the modes. I'm going to kind of remove the magazine just to get a little better view of what's going on. Now as you can see, we already have the board turned on. So it's already ready to go, ready to fire, and I'll kind of show you what the factory setting is, which is the 3-shot full auto. And you can kind of hear, that full auto kick in after the 3-shot. And the way these boards are programmed, they're programmed for 15 ball per second cap, and you can actually turn it down all the way down to 8 balls per second. Now you also have 5 different firing modes, which I'll show you that here too. Right now we're currently in the 3-shot full auto. We'll just go ahead and show you how to change that mode just by tapping the power button. And you can see that it flashed 3 times there, and when it flashes 3 times, that's going to indicate that you're in the response trigger mode. So it'll fire both on the pull and the release. And one thing that's cool about changing the modes through the push button is if you do decide to flip your switch back down to the mechanical mode, it will shut the electronics off. When you do decide to go back into your electronic mode, it will still save the last setting. So you can kind of see that we're still in that response mode. So that's one of the other modes, and we'll kind of go through and kind of show you each mode. And this time it'll flash 4 times and you get like a turbo. And what that pretty much does is it adds shots in for you as you're pulling the trigger. You can also kind of hold it down and get like a 10-shot burst, and it'll kind of just stop. But if you just continue to pull that trigger, it'll just add shots in for you. And we'll go to the next mode. And you'll see that it blinked 5 times. Now 5 is actually semi-auto. So you can lock out the full auto switch or the electronic switch to a semi-auto if you're playing like a sanctioned tournament or an event where they only allow semi-auto. So the Phenom is totally tournament legal. You can lock that mode out for semi-auto only. And you can see it's set strictly for semi-auto. And then we'll go to our last firing mode, which is going to be the 3-shot burst. And you can see that blink just 1 time. And for each trigger pull, you get a 3-shot burst. Now from there, I'm going to show you how to perform a factory reset. Okay, say for some odd reason you don't remember how many blinks is for what mode and so on and so forth. You can always perform a factory reset. Very, very easy to do. While the grip is actually turned on, you're going to push and hold the power button. And you're going to hold it for around 10 to 15 seconds. And it'll go red, orange, and then green. It'll kind of flicker really quickly, and then it'll completely shut down. Now once it shuts down, you're going to flip your switch back to the mechanical mode. Once you're back in a mechanical mode, you can flip it back to the electronic mode, and it'll revert back to the 3-shot full auto setting. and that's how you perform a factory reset. Now we'll go ahead and we'll shut the grip back down, and we'll go through some of the more advanced settings. Now, in order to do some of the advanced settings, what you're going to have to do is with one hand take your tool, either an Allen wrench, small paper clip, and I'm going to try to get this all in one shot. You're going to push and hold the power button down, and then flip your selector switch to the FA. You're going to hold it, and it should turn red. Once it turns red, that's your first programming menu, which is your dwell setting. Pull the trigger once, it'll go to solid green, which will be your debounce setting. Then you'll go to a flickering green, which will be your rate of fire. And like I said before, it's capped at 15, so you can't exceed 15 balls per second. You can, however, turn it down if necessary. And then last, you have your firing modes. Now, I prefer to just go through and just tap the power button and use the firing modes that way, but you can also program it through the trigger. And I'll kind of show you how to do that. When you're in this menu, you're going to pull and hold the trigger down. The light will shut off, and it'll flash for what it's currently set for. Now, say you wait a little bit and you don't program it fast enough, it'll go back to the green and orange flashing back and forth. So say for instance, we'll just go ahead and we'll set it for semi-auto. We're going to pull and hold the trigger down, the light will shut off, it'll blink for what it's currently set at, and then we'll pull the trigger 5 times. And now it's set for full auto. I mean the semi-auto, sorry. So now that it's set for semi-auto, you want to exit the menu. All you have to do is flip your selector switch back down to the firing, just the regular mechanical, firing mode, and then flip it back to the electronic mode. And then you're back into your regular firing sequence for the electronics. Now, some of the other menus that I kind of talked about, went briefly through, was like the dwell, the debounce, and stuff like that. You really don't want to adjust those at all. I mean, we recommend just leaving them at the factory settings. You don't want to adjust it. I mean, the gun right out of the box is pretty much set up to perform, flawlessly. So, you can go through and tinker with them, but we really don't recommend it. If you ever come to a point where you don't really know what the gun's doing, the electronics don't seem to be functioning correctly, you can always perform that factory reset. And I'll go through and kind of show you that one more time. You're just going to go through, push and hold the power button. And you'll get that red, green, and orange, and then it'll shut off. And that is pretty much how you go through the basic functioning of the e-grip on the Tippmann X7 Phenom.